Okay, so Ray and Damon are like teaming up with it, like, talk about. I would say to like, uh, I mean, it's healthy to be skeptical. Like, I want everybody to understand it's healthy to like have skepticism about the project, but like, what is the biggest issue that make you guys negative right now with Star Citizen? It's a good discussion to have with Ray and Damon. Like, what are the two things or one thing or whatever combination of how many things that there are? Like, what is the biggest thorn? Like, what I wanna know, like with Ray and with Damon, like what is the number one thing that ticks you off the most about the project? No, just tell me in the chat, man. Like, I'm not in the mode for like a voice chat, but we should do that. We should do like a little podcast when we do that. Verb. The sales model. So Damon's, I think, is saying the sales model, which is a great topic for a video. And then Ray's going to type it out. Yeah, I mean, time, if you really think about the amount of time that it's taken to get Star Citizen out, yeah, it's been quite a bit of time. And it seems like it's going to be quite a bit of time more. But I mean, my thing is that I've seen the progress. It's not as fast as any of us want, obviously, but I've seen it. And so like that's kind of where I'm at right now. My biggest concerns are with the real life business model. Not so much the development of the game and the people working on it, because there's real people working there and real people working on but more about the management of the employees, like from higher up down, is kind of like my biggest concern with it. And like Red says, some people are completely fine with taking all the time that they need. You know, the false scaredy, says Zalen. Verb says, I'm 58. The time factor is real. Totally understand you, bro. Totally understand you. And the server issues are huge for me as well, Zell. So that's a really good issue to talk about as well. Like, the sales model, like Damon's talking about, is a great topic. And talking about, as far as like how they're going to transition from this model of paying real life money for ships when you can buy them in game and they become, and the game is finished. Like what is the incentive for them to ever finish, right? I think is what Damon is saying, because of the model, the sales model that they have now, is like, how are they going to switch the basis of, like, I'd say a good 80% of the backing to the game is through ship pledging. And so what's to make them ever stop that? Because that is the majority of the income to support the juggernaut that is becoming Cloud Imperium Games. So it's a really good topic Damon brings up to talk about, and a valid concern, a valid concern. So I get you, Damon. I get you, man. And the false scarcity, like Zalen is saying as well, where they only release a certain amount, and then if they need more sales, they'll be like, oh, we're re-releasing it for a limited amount of time. So that's another thing as well, and that goes right back to the sales model as well, Zalen. That could be also something that we could talk about as well, as far as going forward. What is the incentive for them to get off of this sales model of ships being for sale, like pledges, but really they're ship sales, what comes down to it. Yeah, I think even after they like, Chris has promised not to sell ships after the game is released and is finalized, that the ship sales will stop, but I don't know how they're going to really do that. Like, I don't know how they're going to get off that, I really don't know how that's going to happen. So pretty good topic, Damon. Pretty good, dude. And I agree with you, Zell. I don't think they can ever stop really with the sales model that they have. It would almost be death for them to consider doing that. Like, where would the other income come from if they just stopped putting out ships and what is the incentive for people to buy or pledge money for ships when the game is released, when they can buy it in game? What then could be? There was a great Reddit post by a gentleman in the Star Citizen community who was talking about, hey, when I get in the game, I can get a cutlass after a day of mining in Iraq. So why would I want to buy a cutlass for real life money? And the answer is because you want to help the project and you want to pledge. But, you know, that's an interesting dilemma, right? That's like the chicken or the egg. Because if you're a gamer, right, and you're in the game to play the game, and you can get the assets in the game, then primarily I'd say a large percentage of gamers are going to do it that way versus pledging the money. So for me, I've pledged a certain amount. I'm fine with that pledge. I'm not changing the pledge. It's what it is. And I'm just safe about it. Cray says, I see every year, same old stuff. I see every year concept ships. And yet many, many times we told this or that, and yet those are not kept. Promises, which, you know, I think initially that's how they went about it, Ray. Like they were giving promises. If you happen to see a Spectrum post, and I can't remember who it was by, I think it was Tyler Xylo. And I think he talked about how we are not going to promise things anymore moving forward. We are just going to show you what is happening with development on the roadmap. And that's that. And I thought that was a very good post by Xylo. He's like, listen, the time for these promises are done. We are just going to work on the project and you guys can follow along. And it's a little bit more hard-lined of a stance from Cloud Imperium and the developers. But I think it's smart for them. I think it was smart for him to say that. Because there was this kind of like, okay, well, they're promising this, they're promising that, they're promising. I think those times are done. I think we're not in those times anymore. I think they've kind of moved past that right now, Ray. You know, he says SQ42, Squadron 42, classic example. You know, so Ray then talks about like, hey, like, what about Squadron 42? Well, you know, what's going on here? Because, you know, we're looking at Squadron 42 and he's thinking to himself, like, I don't think it's anywhere near where it needs to be. So those are legitimate concerns with Ray. But main thing is, why work on new ships and straight to flyable? And yet nothing on ships for over 8 years. Example, the Orion. And I think one of the reasons why you're not seeing work on those larger ships like the Orion or the Endeavor right now, Ray, has everything to do with the fact of these server issues. I think once they move past this hurdle, if they can get past it, of dynamic server meshing, and we talked about this a couple weeks back, but I think if they can get past this hurdle, you will then see progress being you will see progress towards larger ships like the Orion and larger ships like the Endeavor. I don't think you're going to see any work on larger ships until they've got that sorted out. I think when they started with the Reclaimer and they brought it into the game and everybody saw how many Reclaimers there were and how many issues with the server that the Reclaimers brought to the masses, that was their first indication that they had an issue with servers, really. And like Dark says here, or Darlac says, honestly, he says, if a server can handle 50, 890 jump, it surely can handle just as many Orions. Yeah. So I think it is not really the assets that are the issue. I think it's the people. I think that object containers are not assets. Let's call them object containers, what they are, right? I don't think that in terms of the load on the servers, the object containers are the biggest issue. I think to a degree, the servers are able to handle a decent amount of load with the object containers. I think it really has to do more with the people, the actual people in the servers, and the communication between the amount of people that there are logged in per server. I think one of the issues you're going to see moving forward is, it isn't the issue? All right, Jiro says, no, that is not the issue. G says, that isn't the issue. If a ship takes 50 people, then you can have one ship. Wait, if a ship takes 50 people, then you can have one ship person. I'm not quite sure what that means, Jiro, sorry. If a ship, Yeah, I'm not retype so I'm understanding where you're coming from, because Jiro is my techie, and when it comes to like technical issues, I'm going to listen to what the fuck Jiro has to say, dude. I always thought it was like the amount of people trying to log on on one server. But he says that isn't the issue. If a ship takes 50 people, then you can have one ship. Oh, well, yeah, that is the issue. Then we're saying the same thing, just differently, Jiro. We're saying the same thing. You know, it's the amount of people that can log on per the server, and then it has to do with the fact of these servers communicating with one another, so that when the servers are communicating with one another, essentially your gaming experience mesh with people on other servers. Essentially, there's for the problem, just look at the Hull C and above, says Red Bear. Yeah, there's no way they need any of the ships from the last 18 months in Squadron 42. So the old excuse they are focusing on Squadron 42 ships is out. I think game mechanics are showing us, Damon, that the things that they're working on right now are directly related to things that are going to have to be in Squadron 42. And I'm saying, like, in terms of the design features, like the drag mechanics and physics and also the focus on the flight experience, Damon. I think that's why you're seeing that, because they're trying to get Squadron 42 out. So I'm not quite sure if that's completely thrown out the window. I still think it's a legitimate reason, but I don't think it's the primary one. Max says it's the gameplay that's not there. They learned that with the Reclaimer. Yeah. And like I said, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more work with larger ships once they get past this hurdle of server. Like the server issues and stability right now just is really the biggest issue for me. And management inside of Cloud Imperium, just from, everything I've always looked into financially. And those are my two biggest kind of concerns. But I am, still seeing progress being made. So I'm not completely, I'm still neutral. I would say I'm neutral to positive on the project until I see what happens with Turbulent in this recent Turbulent, I want to say expansion. Oh, you didn't start a war, Ray. Dude. I mean, this is why I'm talking to you about it, because I see you and Damon coming in a lot, and you guys, are like, and I don't know if it's, like we're very aware of the problems in this community. It's not like we're not like all like starry-eyed, like everything's perfect. Like this isn't that type of community. We're not that type of community. We're very rational. So we talk about these things, and there's no war. Don't worry about it, Ray. We're all very we're all very rational adults here when we talk about this. Darlac says the way I see the server issues is like having an old broken car and are about to buy a new one. If you know you're getting a new one, you're not spending money to fix the old one. Red says he blocked Ray. I'm talking about how open, and Red's like, I just blocked Ray. I've known Ray for a very long time. Ray has been an awesome member of this community and has helped quite often on past giveaways. And I love Ray. I love Damon too. Like these are some older members, But like it's interesting to see for me, because I've had, you guys have known who followed me the longest, Damon and Ray. You guys remember when I was very negative. When I was very negative on the project. And this was back in 2016. And I was concerned because of frame rates, FPS was miserable. FPS was like 14 for me, And I think my opinion started to change when the first layer of object container streaming hit. And then I saw an instant increase in frames per second. And that's when I was like, okay, good. We're seeing progress. We're seeing changes. But it's been a while. And, you have to ask yourself, you have to ask yourself, with as much demand as there is, people are apparently okay right now. Like when it comes down to it, people are still pledging, and you can't stop people from pledging. You can't yell at the people for pledging. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Some people are addicted to it. Some people are like, next. But for the large part, I don't think there's a lot of people like that. I don't really think that there's a lot of people that are like addicted to buying the next new big shiny ship. You know, I think that people are smart about it, and you know, a lot of people will meld a ship for another ship and not really spend too much money to get like an upgrade. You know, so you know, it depends. Everybody's different. You should welcome to the fam, by the way. My side piece, good name, dude. Welcome, my side piece, to the family. Okay, let's talk real for one moment. This may be for another stream or whatever, but please bear with me. Okay, here goes next message. Okay, so Ray likes to do this. Ray's now, and then we'll get into the next. I want to get into the next feature. I just want to talk about it because I feel like Damon and Ray and others that are frustrated should have a voice, and you know, because they'll come in every once in a while and they'll be like, you know, very upset. And I think it's important that they have a voice, you know. Reds has seen a video from a relatively new backer going from one freelancer to Bloody Fleet. I just also want some positive news. I'm very negative already. Red's like, I'm a very negative person anyway, so I would just like some positive news. We're going to get to the tractor beam. I want to get into the tractor beam and what I think about it. I saw some people post up about the tractor beam, and so I wanted to kind of see where that was at. If people stop handing them cash, they will have to develop a new business model. Yeah, but that's if people do though, right, Damon? And I don't think that any amount of convincing or any amount of talking that you can do, Damon, is going to let people part with their money. If people are going to pledge, and that's the thing that I really want to get across. You know, there are people out there who, and I'm not saying you're one of these people, Damon, but like there are people out there that feel like people are victims to spending money with Cloud Imperium. And I think that's kind of a false narrative. These people are two types of people. One, who are addicted to this kind of mentality of this kind of what I want to call like drop loot box mentality, where they got to buy the next thing, right? But I don't think there's a large percentage of people like that. And the second are people who are just, you know, pledging because they believe in the project. So like, I don't think that like people, like if they're listening to you, Damon, are going to take you seriously and go, well, that's it. Damon said I need to stop spending money, so I'm going to stop spending money. They're just not. No matter what you say, Damon, they've already made up their mind, dude. You know, that's like with the whole election here in 2020, when there was like Trump people and Biden people, like nobody who was going to vote for Biden was ever going to vote for Trump. And nobody who was voting for Trump was ever going to vote for Biden. It didn't matter what you said. It was split right down the middle. There's no way that anybody listening to any of those debates was going to change their mind. It's just the way that it was, man, you know, for whatever reasons. Okay, so Cray has a nice little book for us here. I don't think people understand his progression in this game as ships. And if you buy all the progression, it's going to be kind of boring after a while, says Zoe. And Darlac says, but the more stuff they make, the more people throw them cash. It's like a loop. Right. Cray says, right now we have Stanton, correct? And yes, it's not finished. So far, 8 years from original concept to now, we know about Pyro, okay, but please figure the timeline here. Okay, so he's going with the systems conversation, or the systems kind of debate right now, that it will take, let's see here, way too long to create like 100 systems. I would say this, right? Like, I guess I'm not too concerned as long as there is another system that we can go to through a warp gate. I will be okay with just one additional system right now. And that would be like my counter argument to you, Cray, is that I'm not worried about like all 100 systems to be completed. I just want a few, right? And that's because Stanton is so very large, and the amount of places to go just in Stanton are enough for me. And the scale of Stanton is larger than like a GTA, like much larger than a large map already in other games. You know, so like as long as there is another system or 2 or 3 to go to, I'm perfectly fine. Yes, they did promise that there will be 100, but I think one of the reasons we're seeing Turbulent come on is to like see a progression into making more systems faster. Now, if that's going to happen or not is a whole nother issue, right, Ray? Maybe people don't know, but because there's a lot of people pushing all the positives and not mentioning the negatives. Oh, I don't know, Damon. I think there's, I mean, like, we always talk about like all sides. I always try and like, at least here in this community, I always try and like talk about all sides. And there are a couple others who focus. I don't think it's smart. Like here, Damon. So Damon says maybe some people don't know because there's a lot of people pushing all positives on Star Citizen and not mentioning any negatives. So that's a really good point because like I guess I'm tired of this mentality of like the extremist view of being all positive and the extremist view of being all negative. I guess I'm really tired of just seeing these polarized effects within this project. And we're not just seeing it with this project. We're seeing it over the entire world. Like you're either a Republican or you're either a Democrat or you're one or the other. And there's this whole section of people that are out there that are really just kind of like, hey, I'm an individual. I'm a person. I'm not going to align myself to the extremist side on this side, and I'm not going to align myself to the opposing extremist view. And they'll pick something rationally that is basically a mosh or a mash of the two, you know? So like I think that's what at least we try to do here in this community is to present all the sides for everybody, so they don't come in thinking one extremist view or another and keep it more rational, you know? Yeah, one additional system with less stations and stuff would make things feel much larger. And they already do feel larger. So Fetson says, one additional system right now would already make it like an improvement, with Pyro, which I absolutely agree. And allow for new gameplay. It will absolutely, Fetson, because we already know in Pyro that the law system is going to be much more lax. It's going to be much more piratey. It's going to be much more PvP oriented. And, like we talked about 3.11, and what I really loved about 3.11 was the introduction of armistice zones and how the turrets and how the sentries play a huge factor in basically sectioning out systems in the future as they come online that will be more PvE oriented versus more PvP oriented. Absolutely, Fets. Red says, I would also love to see them remove all the markers on the planet's move so we can explore them ourselves. Oh, he's hardcore. That's why I like Red Bear. We already know with what we saw on Inside Star Citizen and the basically the where they have the degrees like a compass on there, that there's going to be more directional gameplay, which we've been screaming for forever. So that is something that I'm welcoming, and I love that addition and the new the MFDs and the UI layout through building blocks. Again, like I do see the progress, and like for people that are coming in that, really need to be heard, that feel like we're all positive and starry-eyed about the project, like I want those people to know that that is not the case here, that we do rationally discuss the issues and the problems. I think it's important that we do. I tend to focus more on like stability issues and server issues right now being the biggest hurdle, and also like managerial issues with the business. So those are things that I think are valid concerns and that need to be discussed. So for people that are coming in like Ray and Damon and they're like, hey guys, open your eyes. I think that a lot of people in this community already have their eyes very well open. Personally, that's my view of this community. Max says, I'm okay with only one system to prove concept and mechanics, then let exploration find the rest at release. DY says, gotta be somewhat assertive, but not too assertive, says DY. Verb says, we are all individuals. I'm not. You're not an individual, Verb? I'm a little confused on that. I'm extremely pumped for this game and for what the game's going to be if it ever gets to that point. And I think I'm going to continue to be skeptical until they get more than 50 players. And that's very valid, Zell. That is excellent. And I think that's great that you think that way. Until they get more than 50 players in a server, a stable server, that's kind of a linchpin for me, says Zell. Is stability and massive multiplayer. Yes. In 2017, I was screaming for performance upgrades and performance issues that I was seeing in terms of frames per second, and it got solved. I saw progression. right? Remember? Performance. We kept saying performance. We want a better performance. This year and into 2021, it's going to be stability. That is the mantra, Zell. It's stability. I think all of us are tired of the server issues that we're going through, right? And this is a good discussion, Damon. Yeah, this is a great discussion. It's long overdue, but I always feel like that you guys are on the same page as me and that you guys already know this stuff. And that's kind of what I want to tell Damon and Ray too, who are watching, who come in here and they're like, hey, like Damon, don't you think it's a little extreme to say you want to drag Chris behind a car? I mean, be real. I know you're joking, but like, don't you see how you're triggering people when you say that? You know what I'm saying, dude? I know you do. I know you're smart enough to understand that. But I think you're saying that because you want people to open their eyes. But I guess what I'm trying to say, Damon, is like people have their eyes open here. Nobody's going into this starry-eyed. Not on this channel. Not with this community. I can see you doing that on other content creators' channels. I hope that you do. But like, we've always discussed these things rationally since the very beginning, man. And I always wasn't positive on this project. I might have another stint here where I turn negative. You never know. We'll see. My side piece says IAE 2020 was lame, very overhyped for me as a new player. The real hype was on the website, small apps. Yeah, dude, like IAE was a little bit of a letdown for me this year. Side piece, I like the location change, but I thought that the place was a little bit too large. The venue change and the design and the style obviously changed. I did like the smaller kind of side viewing areas or venues that had like the holograph around it. I thought that was kind of cool. Christy and I went in and we checked it out. Christy was really like, wow, the graphics are amazing. So, it was refreshing to see like somebody who is new to the game to look at it, at the graphical side of it and say, wow, these graphics are amazing. And then, like I said, I'm going to be taking like bonus footage for our VIP members probably next weekend of Christy using FOIP. And it's going to be just great little gag reel of her like using it and yelling and saying, why isn't this working? And it's really, really funny. So I will be doing that for VIP members very, very soon. But it was a really fun time with her to get in there and like try and make that video for a giveaway. By the way, we are having a giveaway for Aegis Gladius. Just so you guys know, here on the channel, and that is offered to us by Cash, and I would like to thank Cash for that. He is an awesome dude, and he has helped out this community very much, just as much as Ray and Damon and others in this community have. You guys are freaking awesome. Zek says Pyro is right around the corner, and then will be a waterfall effect. I'm not quite sure, Zek, if it will, but I'm hoping that it is. Like, I'm hoping that you're right. And I think that's why Turbulent has coming online like they are to create these systems. I think that's really the basis behind why we're seeing the news with Turbulent and this new team in Montreal. And I'm hoping that you are right. That says, I dare not hope for the player cap increase. Keep your eyes open and your booty closed, says Damon. That's good advice. Very good advice. I have other things to be concerned about, says Red. Like, what beer should I drink this weekend? You definitely want to get yourself the last of the Oktoberfest that is still around, dude. I have it on this diet, and let me tell you, it is killing me, dudes. It is killing this diet. I gained a little bit over Thanksgiving. I don't know about you guys here in the States, but like, man, I think I gained 10 pounds, which is not healthy. I'm gonna have to work out a little bit extra. Let's see here. Did I catch up on the chat? Okay, are we cool now? Oh, wait. Ray's got one other thing here. Just want people to open your eyes and see every side from people who see stuff and been from day one. Even today, people tell me, be quiet, wait, it'll come. Then you get SIG with all that. Then nothing, but please, I say I'm a backer to support this game. I spent 10,000 and yet just see from all sides. That's it. I hear you, man. And I also think that you've invested a lot of money into this as well. And like, we take this as, case per case, right, Ray? And, on the real, dude, you've put a lot of money into this, dude. So you are really into this. You are invested into this game, man. Your emotional feelings, You are invested much more than the average citizen is, than the average gamer is into this. So I get you, man. I get you. You know, I know where you're coming from. I can't relate because I have not put that kind of money into it. You know what I mean, Ray? But I can understand your side, and I can understand why you're coming at it like you are, you know, because like the progress that you're seeing, you feel like it's not good enough or timely enough. And I get that. See, for me, I didn't put that kind of investment into it. I'm fine with I'm fine with that right now. Also, I'm a younger dude though. You know? So there's that side of it too. Damon's got over a K in it. Ash is not saying that I don't have any worries. However, a good AAA game takes up to 10 years to make. That means they have about 2 years left. And also in regards to what Ash is saying, like we have really never looked under the hood in terms of game development like we have with none of us. Let's be real, except for those that are in the gaming industry and that are developers or are very familiar with it, that work in the industry. None of us really, other than those people, are familiar or were with game design and game development. None of us were until this project. So on the plus side, we are being able to be part of this movement, and we are going through these emotions because this is all very new to us, and some of us didn't understand what it was that we were getting into. You know? What's up, Kicker? Welcome to the fam. Mom's twirling knives. Whew. Thinking about mom. I was talking about mom earlier today. You guys hopefully get her through this next round of I love her to death. Wish her well. I swear to God. Always something new in my life. Always some type of chaos in my life, man. Such a weird week last week, and then going into this one. Such a weird week. But I'm glad. I like to talk to you guys about what's going on in my life as well. And it's nice to see you guys stick around for that as well, because I think it's important that you guys understand who you are getting your content from. Thank you. Thank you, Dames. I love you, bro. You know I do. And I love you too, Ray. You guys know I do. That's why I took some time to talk about these things, because you guys have a voice and deserve to be listened to as well. What's up, Centurion? All right, now let's get to some Star Citizen, and then we'll get into some Cyberpunk. So let's talk about some more Star Citizen here.